Hi, folks. Welcome to day 2 of the co-sponsored CI and TDK Ventures event. Thought yesterday was really cool. I thought Nicholas kicked it off well, and the panels were great, and lunch was great, and I hope everyone had a good evening. I wanted to say thanks to everyone at TDK Ventures and to the CI team, especially the people that were doing all the stuff behind the scenes, right? It's just a little bit like the duck on a pond. Everything looks all smooth in here, but there's a bunch of people whose feet are just going a million miles an hour to make sure the microphones work, to make sure the room is ready and the food. So they deserve a special thanks from all of us, right? Okay. So I thought I'd do a couple things. First of all, just a quick who is CI, and then I was going to kind of do a couple bullets of recapping about the elegance of yesterday and other things that Michael and others said. And I was going to leave you with a little bit of a how do I explain the threat or the perils of climate change to my Fox News watching parents who are in their late 80s, right? So just to give you some context. So hopefully it will only take about 5 or 10 minutes. So who's CI? Nicholas did a nice job yesterday, but just in further, I'm Marc Berg. I'm one of the managing directors at CI. I live and work mostly in California, but am here quite a lot with my colleagues. We are about $1.1 billion venture fund, so classic Series A, B, C. But with that amount of capital, we like to make the argument to our entrepreneurs that we can provide capital for their entire journey. And as we learned from Clean Tech 1.0 over 20 years ago, you never know when the money round actually is, so you might as well be available to participate in all those rounds. We've made 38 investments. Number 38 was electrification of transportation for precious cargo, school children, courtesy of Cindy, who led our investment in Zoom. They are about 2/3 to 3/4 of those in North America, the rest in Europe. That fund is an impact fund, so it basically has to bear the burden and the metric of providing GHG reduction, either in the form of carbon capture and sequestration, direct CO2 mitigation, direct energy efficiency, or direct business improvements that can actually reduce energy consumption. We play in the industrial chemicals sector, we play in the building and construction sector, we play in the electrification of everything sector, including mobility. We have battery investments, EV investments, we have industrial chemical investments, steel, concrete, carbon capture and sequestration. I'm going to miss a bunch of different things. At least 8 of our companies are directly using their own versions of artificial intelligence and machine learning to apply their solutions to customers, to go a little bit more asset light. And we are in year 6 of that fund. So we're making the last few investments out of that fund. We call it the Catalyst Fund. I don't know why, but we thought maybe it would help catalyze stuff, right? So we're raising 2 new funds. The first one has already had its first close, which is a growth equity fund. We call it a decarbonization acceleration fund. It's a bit daft, in all honesty. That's a joke. You don't have to laugh. And then we're raising another venture fund, which we hope to do first close in Q1 or Q2 of next year. And that'll also be a $1 billion fund. So we'll have plenty of capital to continue to support the journey of our entrepreneurs. Yesterday, oh, that's a good question. Nicholas didn't mention this yesterday, but we were actually founded by OGCI, which is the Oil and Gas Climate Initiative, OGCI. And we are now sort of still their friends, but they owned our first fund. In our second and third funds, we are an autonomous independent financial manager, in a classic venture sense. We will still get strong support from the oil and gas majors who were LPs in our first fund. They will be returning LPs in our second and third fund, but we'll be diversified in terms of our LP base. Thanks for the question. Okay, yesterday, a couple things from Michael's talk. Europe needs an IRA without the silly bits. So we were just talking about what the heck were the silly bits, because I don't think he told us what they were. But that was one takeaway I had. We also need to stop burning stuff, because burning stuff is stupid. And that's maybe another way to explain to my parents why they should stop watching Fox News. Like, watching Fox News is stupid. But the other thing is we need more project development finance, that there's a gap there. We do some of that at OGCI. But there are big players stepping into this space. I mean, big players stepping into the space. So I think I'm encouraged, at least in North America, about that. We could use a chief energy officer in the C-suites of public companies. I actually had told somebody years ago that we actually need a chief thermodynamic officer. And then they have a division of energy and a division of entropy. inside their organization. And these people should be leading our companies, right? It's about time. Engineers in the room, raise your hand. Yeah. Okay. Engineers should be running corporate America and corporate Europe more than financial people. What's that? Okay, great. I don't remember who said it yesterday, but I took this note mentally. Let's all be enthusiastic about the fact that we've been so stupid with how we manage energy. So in other words, the problem is great, but the entrenched ability of that problem to defend itself against renewables and other things may not be as great as many people think. I thought the Gianfranco and the team that talked about the lithium circular economy and supply chain and electrification was really cool. I guess we do owe the Italian Professor Volta a little bit of gratitude for helping us in the lithium ion exercise. And I would say, what else did I learn from yesterday? I would say the TDK Ventures team is really pretty smart. I thought my team was like really smart. I guess they are too, but I thought you guys did a great job. So with that, we have a fireside chat with my partner Cindy. But here's my takeaway for explaining to the Fox News people what the threat of climate change is. So since 2000, not the IPCC, but NASA, using satellite imagery, has measured how much actual sea ice has melted and gone into the oceans of the world. And the units are tough, right? Like how do you think about the volume of ice and what it might mean? So we came up with our own unit. We fact-checked this. So we decided that 1 unit of sea ice melting would be the equivalent volume of a nuclear aircraft carrier. Like that's a new unit. It's not a cubic meter, but it's an aircraft carrier. So NASA's estimates that 14 million aircraft carriers have melted since 2000, in the last 20 plus years. That has caused about a 2.2 centimeter rise in the world's oceans, so almost an inch. Volume or weight? Yeah, volume. It gets confusing, right? Because the North Pole is floating sea ice, and the South Pole is on land, is landmass. So we're trying to think, well, what happens, though, when the ice that's on the land decides to become liquid? And that's why your question was very well timed. So Antarctica is 40% bigger in landmass than Europe. It's the 5th largest continent on planet Earth. And that 6.6 million square miles of landmass is covered 98.5% with snow and ice. The average thickness, not the maximum, but the average thickness of that ice on Antarctica is 1 mile deep or 1 mile thick. So you have 6.6 million cubic miles of mass in the form of water that's frozen. So how many aircraft carriers per person on planet Earth is that volume of sea ice? And so we did the math on this and actually spoke this at a big event with like 500 people, a bunch of engineers in the audience, and they were all on their calculators trying to do this. So the question I asked the audience, is it 1 aircraft carrier for every person on planet Earth? Is it 2? Or is it 40? How many people think it's 1? For every person on Earth, 1 aircraft carrier worth of snow and ice on Antarctica. Raise your hand if you think it's 1. Okay? Raise your hand if you think it's 2. Everybody's going to raise your hand if you think it's 40. Yeah. So 420 billion aircraft carriers worth of ice on Antarctica. At one point in time, that wasn't there, and the seas were prodigious, right? We were talking about this last night. But estimates change, right? But if you melted all that, I'm not saying it's going to happen in our lifetime, but if you melted all of that, roughly between 100 feet to 200 feet of sea level rise around the planet. So I explain that to my parents, and they actually get it because they've been on an aircraft carrier and they know how big that is. So take that fun fact away, throw it away, whatever you like. With that, I'm at my 10 minutes.